Hey everybody, welcome back. Northernlion plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. 20 wins in a row. It's double digits, kind of. What the heck is this? So much HP. FQDX C83B. Telepathy's pretty good. Rate of fire is glorious. It's beautiful. Damage is fine. I mean, the damage, like, as long as I see a 3 or a 4 as the first number, I'm not too upset. Obviously, a 5 would be pretty sick too, but let's not push it, you know? Really, you know, it's your rate of fire that determines your early game success. But do you really need me to talk about Isaac? You probably don't really need me to talk about Isaac. What's on the docket this week as far as content is concerned? It should be a good week. Now, I'm trying to figure out when this video is going to go live, so, like, some of it will have already happened, but we can talk about it as if it hasn't, because for me, it hasn't. Tuesday, Dan and I are going to play some Spelunky 2 co-op for Gex. If you missed it, we played Hand and Brain Chess last week. That VOD did make it to YouTube. I believe it's called something like, you know, Hand and Brain Chess with 170 ELO or something like that, or co-op chess with 170 ELO, something like that. I would really recommend it. I think it's a fun stream. It's a good video. Obviously, you know, I'm a little biased, but people have been telling me that as well. But yeah, we lost last week, or didn't win as much as we needed to achieve our victory condition. So I posted a photo, an embarrassing photo of a time where, you know, in maybe like the year 2002, I was interviewed by local newspaper when I was in 8th grade. I had just won the regional chess tournament and was on my way to the provincial chess tournament, which is like a big deal for my very, very small town. Big enough that I at least got a little story in the newspaper. Not front page. There was probably like a cat that got stuck in a tree that took precedent or something like that, but two good explosions there. Either way, I remember I posted the photo. I was not joking where I said that at the age of 13 I looked like almost exactly like Mitch McConnell. Puberty really did some it did some wonders for me in the jaw department. I'm not saying I'm the world's most handsome man, but you know, in 8th grade I essentially had like no discernible facial features whatsoever. Just bad hair and inexplicably very thin-framed, like Harry Potter-style glasses that did not age well. Anyway. Let me out, please. I remember this. They asked, like, what's your strategy in chess? And I remember I gave them, like, a super long answer that was like, well, you know, I can't remember the specifics of my answer, but I imagine it was something along the lines of, well, you know, as like the white pieces, you get to choose the opening, and then after black responds, you try to make moves that get control of the center, while, you know, simultaneously why not? Simultaneously creating threats on their pieces and so on and so forth. And then they boiled it down in the quote to, I like to make attacking and defensive moves at the same time. I remember being highly upset by this, what I considered a grievance. Especially because I was, and again, this is a weird flex, but I was by far the best chess player in my little tiny elementary school. And everybody else at my school that they interviewed had a way more coherent quote. It was like, I like to move my knights first, you know? People would read that and be like, that makes sense to me. Meanwhile, I got this turbo nerd over here is like, I like to move all my pieces at the same time. Anyway. It was a different era, that's for sure. I got hit by the fake news media, misrepresenting my quotes. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. No, I don't? Yes, I do. Thank you. Okay. This run is, it's extremely great. We're lacking almost nothing. Little worried about the, you know, you're always worried about the possibility of getting bad stuff on Curse of the Unknown, but at this point, there's like no boss item that ruins a run, I think. And there's, at worst, like a couple of deal with the devil items that kind of screw you up, but even then I'm like, I think most of them are active items, so we wouldn't even really mind picking them up. This feels like a secret room to me. Okay, that's fine. And honestly, we'll probably just move on here. Seems like we're pretty much set in stone here. So yeah, that's Tuesday. Dan and I are going to do Spelunky 2. The co-op seems to work really well. I think it's going to be very good. I've been effusive in my praise for Daniel's Spelunky 2 play. I think he may actually be better than me at Spelunky 2. It should be close. This should be the one that's like the most balanced Gex we've ever done. I think we'll probably take both, just to see. And then after Gex, I think we're gonna do some fishing, digital fishing with Sips. Very nice item. Honestly, very nice items here. I'm not disappointed at all. And then, and that's gonna be great. People have been requesting that, you know, Sips and I do some work together for a long time. We did play in the Among Us Twitch Rivals together on like the Friday that just passed, but I'll admit, you know, you don't get that much of a chance to talk in Among Us, which is probably why so many streamers like it. Anyway, oh, he shouldn't say it. He should. Okay, I'm just joking in many ways. Yeah, we'll grab telekinesis again, which is not telepathy. That's my mistake. I called it telepathy earlier. Which was fun, by the way. That was a good time, but, you know, we'll get more of a chance to talk for sure in fishing, which is all banter. Then on Thursday, I should have, and it's Christmas Eve, so if you're not going to be able to be there, I don't forgive you, but I do understand. Should be doing another chess lesson with International Master Levi Rosman, who was also in the Among Us Twitch Rivals on Friday. But unfortunately, basically got hard screwed by RNG. Like, he was literally crewmate 12 out of the 12 games we played, and also died first in not all of them, but I would say like in at least a third of them. He died in the before the first deliberation. Now you can like, hold on, I think we should go to the library real quick. That's the only thing sending me right now. Let's go to the library. I think you can make a case that if you get really good at Among Us, you could probably improve your chances of surviving. But for the most part, you know, like you will be isolated at some point. Someone's gonna tag you if they're the imposter. Like you can't necessarily reliably. It's not like you're gonna juke them, right? And I think Among Us is one of those games where like it's almost like Dead by Daylight. If from my very limited understanding of Dead by Daylight, like you almost have to play in such a way that it's mathematically suboptimal, if that makes sense. Like you deliberately play in a suboptimal way so it's more fun. Otherwise, you could just, like, I don't know what we'd rather have here, honestly, but otherwise it would just be like, you know, there's, let me put it this way. If you're an imposter, let me rephrase. If you're a crewmate, you could be like, hey, why don't all 10 of us just hang out together? And then if anybody says no, you would be like, okay, so you're the imposter, right? Am I wrong about that? Like in Dead by Daylight, the way I understand it is like, it's expected that like the best way to at least get a couple of kills as the killer is to just like hook camp people. Like after you put them on the hook, just stay within like, you know, 30 feet of them so nobody gets a chance to really rescue them. That's what I was told, at least. The thing is, everybody kind of considers that unsportsmanlike and like not that much fun. So you kind of just take the L and go like, okay, maybe we'll let this person get away, but it's, you know, it's more fun this way. It's kind of interesting. You know, the dynamic of like being incentivized to play a game at less than optimal strategy in order to preserve the entertainment value for everybody involved. I can get down with that because, you know, that's pretty much the spirit of my entire channel, is doing things badly for humor's sake. So I definitely think I can understand. But anyway, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about having a chess lesson on Christmas Eve. Should be fun. We will take Book of the Dead. That gets us to Bookworm. We will definitely take Abaddon as well. Don't really care about Little Void or whatever the heck it's called. Little Hush. Little Who Cares. It's an extremely great run we got here. So yeah, and then, you know, probably Friday's Christmas. Take Christmas off. Take Saturday off because it's Saturday. The end. I don't have anything else to say, but really trying to like get into more of the collaborative stuff, you know? And I think it is worth saying, you know, again, in the new year, the intention is to stream a lot more, like with almost a concrete schedule, maybe of like 11 to 5 days a week or something like that, Pacific time. And YouTube will proportionally have a little bit less original content. But just keep in mind, you know, I mean, I can see it myself when I look at the analytics and stuff like that. Generally speaking, the collaborative content does really well. It gets a lot of praise. Not to say like, oh, it's like, you know, the best thing since sliced bread or whatever, but people are like, hey, this is fun. You should do more of this. It's more me like breaking out of my own mental box of like, well, I'd love to do more videos that people would like, but first I have to make sure that I, you know, knock out this series that is like, I have to do every day, even though nobody says it's great at all. Not to say that people don't appreciate it. You get what I mean, though. Okay, we like it. We love it. We don't want some more of it, but we like it and we love it. No, thank you. So yeah, anytime, you know, in the next few weeks maybe, you look at YouTube and go like, I wish that, like, what's going on with this series? What's going on with this series? All I want you to think about is, instead of, like, it's not like I'm not working over here. Let's put it that way. Instead of being like, you know, where slashers keep, should look at it and be like, yo, he's branching out of his comfort zone recently. If you don't like the videos that are branching out of the comfort zone, I apologize. But if you do, then you're welcome, I suppose. I don't know, I'm not trying to be, like, full of hubris about it. I'm just, it is what it is. Anyway, so that's my plan for this week. Should be pretty low-key, as a lot of the past weeks have been. Now that we have a guppy item, we will very quickly go check out this curse room. We're way ahead of schedule on this run, which is always nice. And everything's looking pretty good. Well on our way to 21, which, I'll have you know, is one of the best scores you can get in blackjack. I'm not exactly familiar on the rules. Well, that's not true, I am. 21 is the best. I was just making a joke. I guess technically you can do better than 21 if you have 21 with a blackjack. Then that's better, but I don't know, like, I didn't grow up playing that rule set. I will say, if I had to place a bet, and I don't, thankfully, but if I had to place a bet on an industry that I see declining as my age becomes, like people my age become the most populous demographic, at least in North America, I really, in my heart of hearts, feel like casinos are in a terrible place. And I'm not much of a gambler to begin with. Like, I've been investing recently, and there's an element of gambling in it. And I've been known, maybe once every 2 or 3 years, to place a legal bet on a sporting event, but certainly not habitually. Yo, this is a double floor here. I want to be clear, I actually understand the appeal of sports betting. There is, and I'm not trying to glorify it, because I think that there's also perhaps like a problem looming on the horizon as people, like, if you look at people who are into sports on Twitter, so many of them, like, all of their tweets are, like, steeped in gambling. It's like they're no longer actually, like, into football. They're just into the math that surrounds the betting aspect of football. Which, again, as long as you know your limit and stay within it, you can treat it as, like, a recreational thing. But I'm not going to say worry, because I think it's a little patronizing, but I do wonder if it isn't maybe you know, the seeds of perhaps some sort of epidemic. But this, you know, that's not for me to concern myself with right now, I suppose. I'm not really in the business, right? I think we take both for sure. Anyway, and I do think we'll go in here as well. It's a little scary, obviously, but Spirit Hearts are very nice. With all that in mind, I understand the appeal of sports betting. If you already like sports, then you kind of enhance in some ways your enjoyment. You at least amplify the emotional experience of watching a sport if you've put some money on it, right? Now, I think where it can become a problem is, like, you know, if I were to put like $50 on, you know, the Vancouver Canucks game or something like that, you know, you're like, okay, maybe that's not so bad. But if like 6 months later you're like watching, you know, Greyhound or Whippet races, and you're like, this is where the action is at 6 a.m., then I get a little bit more concerned. But anyway, and I guess there's also the appeal of, like, you know, you feel like maybe you have some knowledge or you have some insight, like, oh, well, I watched them play all season, so, like, I know against, you know, stand-up goalies that are over 6'3", they tend to, you know, have better chances than they do against shorter goalies who are more in the butterfly. But whatever, you know, I understand, because, like, sports are fun to begin with for a lot of people, and then you add in something over top of it. So I don't think, like, gambling is going away. But if anything, I actually see that growing. But I do wonder, like, who the heck that's my age is stoked to go to the casino and play, like, roulette. I've done it. I've done it a few times. I kind of don't get it. Like, and the other thing is, people will, like, be at the roulette table and be like, man, look at those suckers on the slot machine. And you're like, it's the same thing, man. This is just a wood slot machine. If anything, I'd rather be on the Austin Powers slot machine right now. That might at least make me laugh. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, there's kind of economic reasons as well that you might expect people in our generation to be a little bit less prone to gamble. But I also, I mean, there's no way to say it without sounding rude, but I feel like at least people that I deal with online are more mathematically astute than average, I think, for people who might be a little older. I'm being very careful. I'm not saying that older people are dumb, merely that I think maybe at some point there was a shift in mathematics education to actually teach people about probability. I don't know. This is just one man's experience. I'm not trying to ruffle too many feathers here. No, thank you. We could definitely AWAS out of this, though. Hold on one second. No. What the heck? It's garbage. It's raw. Hold on, let me caffeinate here. Like, I guess I just don't. I feel like I don't get the appeal of like a slot machine or a roulette table or craps or like there's a few sort of gambling games I understand. Sports gambling, I get. Blackjack, I kind of get, because you do have a mathematical. Well, I don't know. It depends. I can't remember. I think in blackjack, you still have a mathematical disadvantage to the casino, even with perfect play. But it's very, very close to 50-50, and you do actually have an influence on the game. You know, you could, if you wanted to, make, like, flyers, you know what I mean? Like, you could be like, the math says we should do this, but let's do something fun. You know, let's deliberately make our odds worse to see if we can get a disproportionately high payout. And one that I don't really enjoy playing that much, but I definitely understand, is poker. Like, I don't see them going anywhere. But I'm always, like, anytime I've been to Las Vegas and you just see, like, you know, thousands and thousands of slot machines, I'm always like, man, I get that this is, like, where the industry is right now, but I feel like you're screwed. I'm not saying I don't know any, like, 32-year-olds that will use slot machines, but I do really feel like it's kind of... I feel like there's almost an expiration date on those. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just my 2 cents. Maybe it's not, maybe it's one of those things where, like, I think 32-year-olds like me aren't interested in slot machines, but something just changes in your brain when you enter, like, the, you know, your 50s or 60s, where you go, all of a sudden, this thing's got some appeal to me. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I do think that, like, the rise of sports betting's been crazy. There's a friend of mine, and I'm not trying to, like, you know, call him out. He's and you don't know him, but he's a professional. He does very well in his industry. But sometimes he tells me about his sports betting, and I'm like, man, I had no idea that, like, you could even do that. He's like, it started out with me just betting on, like, Philadelphia Flyers games, and now I'm, like, doing parlays into whether or not Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson will, you know, make a pass for more than 40 yards over the course of the game. And I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, the apps are making it so easy for people. But I guess, you know what? There's, like, online casinos that are big into slots. I used to see it on Twitch now and then. Every once in a while, I would pop in. Twitch is like, and I'm not, again, it's you know, glass houses and that sort of thing, but I'm not saying, like, oh, how stupid could you be to watch somebody gamble? Because, like, you know, it's the same argument that's like, you know, oh, you're gonna watch somebody play video games instead of playing them yourself? I don't get it. But I would always, like, be kind of, like, surprising. You'd tune into, like, a slot machine, stream on Twitch for a little bit, and somebody would donate like $50, and then the streamer would make like 10 spins at $5 that would get nothing, and you're like, well, there it goes. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's not that much different than you know, Pokemon card openings, or, you know, Magic card openings, or, you know, you get the idea. I don't know, man. I don't know how I got off on this tangent. Usually, you know, when you go off on a little tangent like that, you expect that you're going to pivot off of it. The problem here is that obviously this video was so short. Because I'm so good at the game that, you know, we ended up being stuck here. I don't know, I just feel... I wouldn't say that casinos are not long for this world. But I will say, every time I find myself against my will in Las Vegas, and I'm not trying to take away anybody else's fun, but anytime I find myself in Las Vegas, every time I walk through, like, the slot machine wing of a casino, I'm like, you're not long for this world. It's just like a button you press that's like, you lost money. Like, imagine if they just normalized it. I mean, this would ruin the industry. But imagine if they normalized it so every time you press the button, like, you put in $1 and you got, like, 98 cents back every time you press the button. That would take away a lot of the romance. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!